right, good evening, everybody. Ms. Williams or Ms. Anchor, could you give me a thumbs up if you can hear me? Okay. Great. All right. I'm experimenting a little bit here with some sounds. I wanted to make sure it was working, but good evening, everybody, and welcome to our community poet in residence reading with Brian Evans-Jones, Berwick Academy's poet in residence for this year. My name is Ryan Feely, and I'm assistant head of school, and I'm also the middle school director. And we have had such a wonderful week with Brian in the middle school, working with our 5th through 8th graders all week long, exploring their creative sides, learning about the power of words. And the theme throughout this week has been craft, and you'll hear a little bit more about that throughout the evening, I suspect. But I want to start by just saying thank you to all of you for taking the time to join us. We're so happy that you're here for this event tonight. I want to thank Brian for all of his efforts this week on behalf of our students. We had a wonderful assembly this afternoon with the middle schoolers to sort of round out our week of poetry, and we look forward to continuing the spirit of writing and continuing the conversations around words and poems and helping our kids unlock their creative side. So thank you, Brian, for everything that you've done this week. I also want to thank Melissa Williams, who's here this evening, and you'll hear a little bit from Melissa as well, but Melissa's our middle school librarian at Berwick Academy, and she's done incredible work organizing this event, going back to the summer and fall. There's a lot of planning, a lot of logistics that go into an undertaking like this, and Melissa has been on top of everything and really created an environment that's been exceptional for our kids, a great experience this week. So thank you, Melissa, for all of your efforts. And then I also want to recognize and thank Mary Anchor for being here. Mary, I had the good fortune of teaching alongside Mary for at least 1 year before she did retire from Berwick Academy. But Mary is the founder of the Poet in Residence program, and we're into its 2nd decade at this point. And Mary, we're so happy that you're here and that you continue to be a voice in these conversations and a champion of poetry. Mary's a wonderful poet and teacher and friend, and we're so glad that you're still a part of this experience with us. So thank you for being here tonight as well. As I said, the theme that Brian Evans-Jones asked our middle schoolers to think about over the past week is craft. Thinking about craft in a variety of ways, things that we're passionate about, things that we practice. And our students have done some great work writing about and reflecting on what craft might be important to them. And I thank Melissa for inviting me to play a couple of songs tonight, because my craft, and Brian asked me to do a little writing with the 8th graders yesterday, and I did do my best with my poem on my craft, which is songwriting. I'm a musician. I love playing with a band, but what's most fulfilling for me is creating original songs. And so that kind of fit in well with the theme of craft as well this week. And so I've been working a lot on writing songs. A friend of mine actually suggested back in the winter that I try something in February called the RPM Challenge, which involves putting yourself out there and writing an album's worth of songs and recording an album's worth of original songs during the month of February. And it was hard and daunting at times, but I learned so much and had a great experience and a lot of fun and continued on with it. And so I'm happy to be here tonight to play a couple of songs from the album that came from that experience working on my craft. So I'm going to start with one that I hope you will enjoy. This is a song that I would say, kind of came out quickly. Usually I think a lot about songs. It takes me a while to write them. This one I wrote very quickly. And it was the kind of song that I didn't really know what it was about until I was finished with it. And when I looked back and played it a few times and thought about it, I realized that it's really a song about falling in love and being in a relationship with an overachiever and gradually coming to the realization that your identity has somehow become an extension of theirs. And this one is called Avery. Avery reminds me of an autumn dream. She's a shiver in the morning, she's the turning of the leaves. She can finish all my sentences and play me like a pinball machine. And if the local church could use another patron saint, just check out Avery on the ladder up there, spreading paint. She's
got a shade of lemon yellow, guaranteed to make the neighbors faint. You can't rectify your troubles in a single day, and you can't erase the facts no matter what you say. And a fresh coat of paint, Avery, it won't make the truth go away. That's a rent we pay. I like to listen to her voice when she's so self-assured. The way instructions leave her lips, the sweetest sound I've ever heard. There's a comfort for me, Avery, you're singing like your little cage bird. But last night as you were sleeping with your purrs and sighs, I watched the comet streak its way across the northern sky, and I didn't wake you up. For the life of me, I couldn't say why. Can't rectify your troubles in a single day, and you can't erase the facts no matter what you say. And a fire in the sky, Avery, won't make the truth go away. No, that's the rent we pay. You can't rectify your troubles in a single day, and you can't erase the facts no matter what you say. And a fire in the sky, Avery, won't make the truth go away. No, that's the rent we pay for our yesterdays. Yeah, that's the rent we pay for our yesterdays. She's a force of nature and the ghost within. Sometimes it's hard to know where she ends, where I begin. You can't rectify your troubles in a single day, and you can't erase the facts no matter what you say. And a fresh coat of paint, Avery, won't make the truth go away. That's the rent we pay. You can't rectify your troubles in a single day, and you can't erase the facts no matter what you say. And a fire in the sky, Avery, won't make the truth go away. That's the rent we pay. You can't rectify your troubles in a single day, and you can't erase the facts no matter what you say. And there's nothing you can do, Avery, to make the truth go away. That's the rent we pay.
Thank you. Thanks very much. I appreciate that. The next song, and second song I'm going to do is entitled "The River Returns to You."
Let me blend into the river, find my way back to the source. Just be driven by conviction. Don't hesitate to change my course. Hug the bends and chase the shallows. Never worry about the days behind. Kiss a girl that I just met within the hour. Sea salt on her lips, not a worry on her mind. It's just the same old season cycle through. Search the depths for something true. Wherever you wander, the river returns to you. Faded signs and skies are blue. Walk the world for something new. Wherever you wander, the river returns to you. Used to travel free and easy. Now I'm drifting someplace I can't seem to leave. Trying to breathe life into something nearly over. Always clinging to her sleeve. Tell myself that something in wander, the river returns to you. Faded signs and skies of blue. Walk the world for something new. Wherever you wander, the river returns to you. Crossing back and forth, stone to stone, you can quickly lose true north. So help me find my way, 'cause if you can't save me, everything will stay the same. Old seasons cycle through, search the depths for something true. Wherever you wander, the river returns to you. Faded signs and skies of blue. Walk the world for something new. Wherever you wander, the river returns to you. Same old seasons cycle through. Search the depths for something true. Wherever you wander, the river returns to you. Faded signs and skies of blue. Walk the world for something new. Wherever you wander, the river returns to you. Wherever you wander, the river returns to you. Wherever you wander, the river returns to you. 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 The river returns.
Thank you very much for listening. I appreciate it. And I'm going to turn it over right now to Melissa Williams. Enjoy the evening.
Thank you, Ryan. What a wonderful way to begin. That was a treat. Thank you so much for performing for us. Wonderful example of craft. We actually are going to begin with a few words from our founder, Mary Anker. So Mary.
Thank you, everyone, for being here. I'm just thrilled that we're all together in a program that started with an inception with Kimberly Green back in 2011, and then has grown steadily and is still strong. I really want to thank Melissa and Ryan and Brian and all the teachers and students who bring their enthusiasm and their willingness to grow and learn every single week in April every year. So let's let the Wild Rumpus begin, and everybody enjoy, and that's it.
Thank you, Mary.
You're welcome.
Mary's going to share a poem with us later. All right. Pablo Neruda began a poem entitled Poetry with the line, "It was at that age that poetry came in search of me." He doesn't say in the poem what age this was. It makes me curious to know, but then again, I like that Neruda hasn't specified. It allows us to imagine and to ask ourselves, those of us who have been found and known by poetry, at what age did poetry come in search of us? I hope that Berwick Academy Middle School's Poet in Residence Week each year will be a time when, in retrospect, our students will look back and say, it was at that age that poetry came in search of me. Welcome to the Mary Anker Poet in Residence Community Poetry Evening. I'm Melissa Williams, and the middle school librarian at Berwick and the director of the Poet in Residence series. Since the program's founding in 2011, this is our first poetry evening event on Zoom. And while we always enjoy meeting in person, it's special to be able to still gather in this way to celebrate poetry. We're able to enjoy the presence and participation of more people from further afield because we are on Zoom. And that makes this event tonight especially exciting. Thank you for joining us. For those unfamiliar with Berwick Academy Middle School's Poet in Residence program, each year a visiting poet chooses a specific theme to guide the week's exercises in poetry. And as noted, this year's theme is the world of craft. It has been inspirational to have students and faculty share examples of their personal craft, sometimes even allowing us glimpses into their process. We've seen pictures of amazing baking that made me hungry, croissants, bagels, for instance. We have been treated to piano performances, videos of horseback riding, aerial dance, cross-stitching and embroidery, and examples of drawing and theater and more. So tonight will not be only a celebration of the craft of writing, but of craft in general. This year, as you know, we had the pleasure of hosting Brian Evans-Jones as our poet in residence. Brian Evans-Jones was born in Britain and now resides in South Berwick. While still in Britain, he was the Poet Laureate of the Hampshire region for 2012 to 2013. He won the Maureen Egan Writers Exchange Award in 2017 from Poets and Writers in New York City. Brian has been a lead teaching artist in the Telling Room in Portland, Maine, and in Portland Middle School Academy. He enjoyed an 8th grade Telling Room poetry residency at Wells Junior High School in Wells, Maine. And these are just a few of Brian's residencies and relevant teaching positions around the Seacoast area. It was abundantly evident all week how skilled Brian is as a teacher of poetry to young people. The teachers whose classrooms he visited expressed more than once that they were impressed by his sense of timing, masterfully bringing students through the process of brainstorming, free writing, writing poetry within the time constraints of his workshops. And they also commented on how well he broke up the lesson into accessible chunks. I felt the same and have been so grateful to see him help students feel a sense of pride in their personal crafts while learning new poetic forms like the pantoum and the Saint-King. Brian was game for anything. I run an improv group once a week for what we call activity period, and Brian jumped in to teach the group an improv game that I did not know. It elevated the energy of the group and they loved it. He volunteered extra time to workshop additionally with students beyond his allotted teaching hours and just generally brought so much to our community. I believe what students learned with Brian will stay with them forever. I also have been tremendously proud of our students. They have been brave to launch out into new forms and to share their poetry with their peers. They have been engaged, have taken risks, and have been ready and open for learning and playing with words. I have seen them support each other, suggest to each other ways to make their poetry better, and just generally be 100% positive contributors to the workshop experience. Brian, thank you so much for joining us this week. What a gift. Brian will start us off with some of his own poetry, and then we will enjoy some student and faculty shares. Welcome, Brian.
Thank you, Melissa. Could you give a thumbs up if you can hear me okay? Yes, great, okay. I'm experimenting with my wife's fancy microphone, so I had to check to make sure I got it right. Well, thank you very much for the introduction. It's been a fantastic pleasure to be the Mary Anchor Poet in Residence this week at Berwick Academy. I felt really blessed to be there, especially to have been teaching in person and on campus, because we all know how easily that might not have happened. And it's indeed the first in-person teaching I've been able to do for more than a year. So it's been amazing to be actually up close and personal with the words that students are working on and able to see what they're writing and help them. So I'd like to thank everybody who is involved in setting this up and making it work. Mary Anchor for the idea in 2011, Ryan, Mr. Feely for supporting it, and all the middle school English teachers for all they did to get the students ready and involved in the idea of craft before I even turned up, but especially, of course, Ms. Williams for the work that she's done for months and months and months in getting this ready. She's been supremely organized and welcoming and helpful and looked after everything I needed, even down to the exact kind of tea that I wanted to drink. Being British, that's important. So it's been a wonderful experience. I'll say a bit more about what we did in the residency when we would come to the student readings after I read a couple of poems. But first, before I do that, I have a very important announcement. We have a very exciting project happening tonight. During this very Zoom meeting that you are part of, 4 brave middle school students from the Berwick Academy will be composing a couple of new poems live while we listen. And they need your help because you are going to give them the words that they will need to make the poem. They're going to make a crowd-sourced poem, and you are the crowd, and you are the source. This is how this will work. While you're listening to a poem, if you hear something that you particularly like in the poem, so a whole line or a few couple of words, please type those into the chat. And if you send it to everyone in the meeting, that will work. And those words will go to Melissa Williams, who will put them into a document that the poets can then work from to start creating their own poem, which will mix together bits of language that you send them. So those lines will become part of the possibilities that they have for making their own poems. We did a practice of this yesterday and they were truly awesome. So I think it's going to be very exciting. So let's suppose I hear the words, the tree is green, and I think that makes good poetry. I would type it into the chat and send it to everyone like that, and then that would be a part of the words that they can use. So I really hope you will do that, because if they haven't got any words, they won't be able to make a poem. So please, please, please do send things that you hear that you like into the chat, and we can all enjoy them, of course, because you send them to everybody. Okay, now poems. So I'd like to begin with what I call my teaching poem, which sums up how I feel about the students and how hard they worked this week. Thank you to all of you. And fifth grade have heard this already. It's called "A Room Filled with Students Hard at Work is Beautiful." A room filled with students hard at work is beautiful because they are silent. Because my plans have worked. Because it's the only time I get a moment to think. Because I can watch the fields outside. Because they believe in me. Because they are so young, but they think they're not. Because I can see lights coming on. Because they will think of things I never could. Because I believe in them. Because they could change anything. Because I am not alone. Because they all wear different shoes. So, as Melissa said, I live in South Berwick, so it's been a really arduous commute to Berwick Academy every day. I've had to walk at least 10 minutes up the hill. And I've been in South Berwick since 2014, and I really love it. So I thought I'd share a small number of poems that have been inspired by South Berwick and the countryside around. And now that we're safely out of winter, I'm going to share this one with you, which was about the winter of 2015, when we just had snow and snow and snow, and it wouldn't melt. It's called "Under the Bridge, a River." Late February, the whole of one winter white on the rocks, and between runs black water. Grey snow beneath is translucent, a breath. In the shallows, black stones shed ripples. One quivers, dips, then raises its head, opens its wings. And the stone turned into a bird and flew away, which was quite fun to watch. We talked about shape and structure for our poems a lot this week. So in the next poem, I have a different kind of shape and structure than any of the ones that the students used when they were writing. This one is inspired by the alphabet. So listen out for where the alphabet comes in. And I wish there was a prize if you could tell me where it is, but I hope you can see it anyway. So this one is called "An Ox and a House." A train shoots out of trees and over the bridge. I heard a horn, but somehow wasn't expecting train. What did I expect? A bear pursued by a train? A fox hunt? A minstrelling maiden? An armature, an armadillo? A batsman, a basket, a bantam? A cardiac arrest? A devilfish? A Decemberist? A dervish drilling out an egg? A failed fishmonger with a grudge, a gadabout in a hole, a hubcap on an igloo, a jaguar, a jugular, a kingdom in lassitude with ludicrous lack of luster? a monstrance of mastic, a machinist with a mission, a number, a noodle, an orange, an overachiever as Pantalone in the Pentagon going pop, a painter, a quantum, a rosary, a ship, a sitting duck and a toad for it to sit on, a toadstool and an undergrad to cook it, an upside down cake, a vulture, and whoosh, a xenophobic, yellow-fevered youngster yodeling with zebrafish, zorkmids, and zithers? No, it was a train. Silver and blue, the rusty bridge thunder, and dawn silk on its side. Wonders. That's technically known as an abecedarian, with the pattern of words starting with the letters of the alphabet in order. And if you want to figure out why it's called an ox and a house, I recommend you do a bit of internet research into the origins of the alphabet. And finally, because I don't want to take up too much time, I want there to be plenty for the students. Also because this hasn't taken as long for me to read as I thought it was going to. Anyway, this is a poem that uses a technique called anaphora that 5th grade will recognize because they used it too, starting lots of sentences with the same words. And this is called Walking in New England Woods, I Am Happy. I am happy because I'm following the tracks of a dog and its prints look like flowers blooming in the mud, 5 petals tight together. I am happy because this morning there was a first coat of snow dropped on the roofs and lawns, and for once I got 7 hours sleep. I am happy because running at 6 a.m. I felt the steel that comes with snow, and I love wild weather, how it makes me feel I could have wildness in myself. I am happy because before I could drive, I had to scrape snow off my car, and this will become a new ritual, a nest to curl up in. The ground under my feet is muddy and soft and therefore welcoming, but not so wet that it covers my shoes, which are not waterproof. I am happy because my socks are too thin and I should have worn boots. And even this makes me think of how new is this New England winter. I am happy because I'm wearing a new down coat that's red and a size too large. It feels as though it will warm me everywhere I could go. Even the pockets have a layer of down, so my bare hands are snugged and protected, and this was designed for me by someone I'll never know, who wanted me always to feel cared for and well. I am happy because the fallen leaves are so crisp and clean, the whole wood seems decorated for someone to adore it, and right now, that person is me. I am happy because each morning I light our wood stove from last night's embers, and the first flame shows that yesterday can stay alight in me. I am happy because I'm thinking about what it's like to emigrate, and when my wife said she wanted to while our daughter napped. I remember her looking at me like a child longing for a gift, and all I had to do was say, yes, I will go anywhere with you. I am happy because when the children are in their own rooms, I will get her back. And even though that's 4 years away at least, it's a day closer than it was yesterday. I am so happy I feel like air, a swirl that could be anything, go anywhere. Well, thank you. So I see lots of things coming into the chat. Thank you very much. It's a great start. Give our enterprising poets some good stuff to work with. And no doubt they'll come up with something that's better than what I did. So I just want to say a few things about the residency. It's time to move on in a minute to hearing poems from students and faculty. And as you know, our theme was craft. And in the way that we set this up, I said I thought that there were 5 things that you needed to make something a craft. It had to use skill. It had to involve effort and practice. There had to be some kind of result in the world, an effect, which might be something physical, like a loaf of bread, or it could be artistic, like a dance or a piece of music, Or it could be something physical like sports, or indeed it could be something that had an effect in the lives of other people, in the minds and hearts of others. It also needed to be something that the doer was passionate about and that they got joy and pleasure from. And we found a lot of crafts that fitted all of those 5 things. Some you might have expected, things like artistic pursuits from dance to piano to drawing to plenty of others. Some kind of physical hand-based crafts like baking, cooking, and making skateboards. We had a lot of students who chose to write about their sports, and those certainly fit all of those 5 things as well. But we had lots of other ones too, like video editing, babysitting, giving advice, and we even allowed in video games on the grounds that they certainly take practice and skill and passion. They give passion and joy, and when you play them with other people, they definitely have a result in the world as well. And we also talked about the importance of craft, how it's a place where we can be ourselves and find joy, especially, of course, over the last year in the lockdown times. And we can learn things like patience and perseverance, and we also can express ourselves and learn how to kind of put our emotions and thoughts out into the world. And of course, as the students were writing about craft, they were also practicing a craft. And as I said to them, poetry is about skill with words, but also skill with shape and structure. So each grade wrote using a different approach to shaping the poem, as I hope you will hear when they are read. And so we're going to go through in grade order so that you can sort of hear the different structures coming up. But we're going to start with a brave volunteer. We're going to start with our 4 poets who are doing the crowdsourced poem so that they can then breathe a sigh of relief and go and work on their poem. So our first reader today is Emma Marie Silversides, who is in 5th grade. And Emma Marie, please read your poem.
Thank you.
And give you a big hand.
This poem is called Lacrosse Is. Lacrosse is fast on a big open field like the ocean. Lacrosse is passing the hard, cold ball that feels like ice. Cradling the ball on your stick, a baby in a basket. Lacrosse is dodging the fast balls coming at your body and letting it fall into your stick, cold in your hands. Lacrosse is cheering your teammates on, like swimming in a pack of fish in the sparkling ocean. Shooting the ball into the net, hearing the whipping noises as it flies through the air, a bird flying into its nest. Lacrosse is feeling the stick in your hand, holding the ball like holding an ice cream cone with a scoop of ice cream. Lacrosse is hearing the sound of your coach yelling with support and encouragement. Lacrosse is the busy stands, a beach covered in people. Lacrosse is seeing the busy fields like a pond filled with swimming fish. Lacrosse is huddling with your coaches and teammates, holding each other up. Lacrosse is yelling to your teammates, telling them you're there. Lacrosse is running across the field like fish swimming in water. Lacrosse is feeling your cleats being hard against your feet like your chest, like your heart. Is feeling the pride of accomplishment. Lacrosse is.
Thank you very much, Emma Marie. And I see some things going through the chat. Remember that you can definitely keep sending things to our poets. Okay, and working with Emma Marie will be Aisha Sastry. So Aisha, would you like to read your poem?
My poem is about piano. Piano is my small brown hand softly tapping the smooth keys like pure white marble. Piano is my foot pressing gently down on the silver pedal, as shiny and sleek as a gray car in the sunshine. Piano is the vibration of the music in my ears, like the humming of an engine. Piano is the rustle of the music as I flip the pages. Piano is the small black bench I sit on, leathery as cowboy boots. Piano is the dulcet sound of the keys as they play their tune, as sweet as the song of a nightingale. Piano is my mind filling up with the melodious sound and the thought of what comes next. Piano is feeling accomplishment. piano is my joy.
Great work, Aisha. Thank you very much. And so Aisha and Emma-Marie will be working together. And from 6th grade, we have Noah Castles. Noah, would you like to share yours?
Yeah. I made a cinquain about skiing, and here it is. In gate, tap, tap, out gate. Round 1, then 2, I'm off. Keep rounding, some different lengths. Thwack, I hit. Flush fast, delay longer. A hairpin here, then gone. Gates come, some slow, some very fast. A blur. My skis skid along white. Ice like shoes sliding fast on concrete. Very hard to grip. Skidding. One gate to fly around. Through the finish. I know there's cheering, but louder. My heart. Thump, thump.
Way to go, Noah. Had you memorized that already? You looked like you were reading it from memory. No, okay, right, well, you fooled me. I thought that was very quick work. Excellent, well done. And working with Noah will be Emma Rich. Emma, would you like to share your poem, please?
My poem is a cinquain about playing the violin. First I tune E, A, D, G. Put on rosin, my bow is all set, I'm ready to play. I get my music out, the treble clef. Up goes my violin, my bow comes to. Across the strings, I count off 1, 2, 3, 4, and I move my bow. The music pours out, the rhythm spinning together. I play the notes, sharp and soft, loud and soft. Sharp and smooth, loud and soft. I put my fingers down, I go through the piece, ending with a flourish. My violin comes down, down comes my bow too.
Yeah. Thank you very much, Emma. Sounds like you have your own cheerleading squad at home there as well. Excellent. So they are now going to be working hard on the language that's coming in. And so thank you very much, everybody who's contributing on the chat there. It looks like they're going to have fantastic resources. Okay, so now we have a student who is actually from the lower school. You may recognize her last name, Evangeline Williams, who would like to share with us today. So Evangeline, please share your poem. Thank you.
So my poem is called Far, Far Away. Yeah, by Evangeline Williams, by me. Far, far away. The iris and the lavender, fresh squeezed lemonade, amethyst ballet slippers, the peachy castle and the royal waterfall. It's short.
Short but wonderful. Thank you. I love the peachy castle, but there's so many good things happening in that. Yes, well, excellent. Thank you very much, Evangeline. And okay, so now we're on to some readers from 5th grade. And what 5th grade used was a form called anaphora, as I said, where they used a repeated phrase to organize their ideas. This is a very old piece of very old poetic technique, which is used in the Bible and probably before that too. But it's a very powerful way of sort of grouping things together. So our first reader from 5th grade, apart from those who are doing this crowdsourced poem, is Henry Wallen. Henry, where you go? Please read your poem. We don't think Henry is here. Okay. Well, we'll just imagine that Henry shared his wonderful poem, and we'll go on to Christian DeMarco. I hope you're here, Christian. Yes.
Yep, I'm here. So would I share, sorry, one question. Would I share the poem that I made, or can I share a different one? Do you know what I mean?
Yes, I do know what you mean. Which one would you most like to share?
I have another one that I kind of want to share. Is that okay?
Sure, go for it. Yes.
Thanks. So I'm just gonna say the title is What Difference? This is a response poem to James Barrie's What Do We Do with a Variation, or What Do We Do with a Difference? What difference? We stand and discuss, shut our eyes to it, poke it, clobber it. We move around and enlist the rage of it. We look purely. We work. We pass, change root away. We will it to become like ourselves. We differ. We communicate.
Thank you, Christian. And that was a blackout poem, wasn't it?
Yes.
So if you don't know what a blackout poem is, it's where you take a page of somebody else's writing and you literally black out some of the words so that only certain words are left, and those you work into a poem, as Christian has done. But do you know what, Christian? You've done a great job with that, but that starts off with somebody else's words and language. So I think it would be awesome to also hear your own poem that starts with your words. Are you okay reading both? Okay, then please go ahead, read your poem. Are you able to unmute yourself?
Me?
Yes.
Sorry.
Yeah.
The other poem? All right. You can go to someone else. I just got to get that hooked up. I'll thumbs up you when I'm ready. Sorry.
Okay. Thank you for the heads up. In that case, I think our next reader is Simon Sackabell from 5th grade.
Okay. I did another poem on skiing. It's called Skiing Athra. When I ski, the wind howls, almost excited that I'm here. When I ski, the snow sprays like a garden hose. The snow sparkles like the water when I ski. The snow crunches like a bite out of a cracker when I ski. When I ski, the wind chases me down the slope. When I ski, my hand warmers get as toasty as an oven. The trees look like they follow me in my every move. The forest surrounds me, making me feel like I'm not alone. When I ski, it feels like as if time surrenders to the wind. When I ski, the cold and the warm are in a war. The cold battling for my every last warm thing I have in my body. The chairlift calls me to ride up the mountain with a breeze being my skiing buddy. The chairlift rides over the mountain, teaching me better ways to ski and which way I shall go. When I ski, I fly with the birds. Or when I jump, when I ski, I fly with the birds. When I jump in skiing, soar, flying, see all the beautiful landscape. I see. The mountain is tall. It is a giant quiz, staring me down harder. The mountain's height creates new fears in me and new levels of confidence. When I race, the ice beats me down the race course. When I ski race, the racing gates move wherever I turn, like a sports defender. The trail looks menacing, telling me I can't do it. The trail continues to tell me I can't do it. I look down the black diamond. The steepness creates new nerves that fill my body, but I don't let it.
Wow, Simon, thank you so much. You've worked a lot on that, haven't you, since the lesson? Yeah, you've really grown that and grown that and grown that. Fantastic. I particularly loved the mountain that's like a math quiz. Yes, looming over you. That was brilliant. Thank you so much. Okay, Christian is ready to read his now. So go ahead, Christian.
Thank you. My other poem's called Minecraft. Minecraft is the tapping of the rectangle keyboard. Minecraft is my mouse flying across the mouse pad. Minecraft is the legend of Herobrine. Mince Raft is, wait, that's a 1 in 10,000 chance. Minecraft is my beautiful house. Minecraft is the 2x2 tunnels that the Haunter, aka Herobrine, makes. Minecraft is holding secrets, and one of which is the Farlands. Minecraft is the faint hiss of a creeper. Minecraft is vigorously tapping keys to type in some cool command. Minecraft is 12,550,825 blocks away from the center of the map to find the far lands in Pocket Edition. Minecraft is broken. Minecraft is dead. Minecraft is gone. Minecraft is never gone. Minecraft is awesome.
Wonderful, thank you. I love that very precise number of blocks that you brought in there, Christian. And was that really about Hero Brian?
What do you mean?
Did you say Hero Brian?
Yeah, that's it's like this weird entity. No one really knows about him.
I need to know more about this. I must find out who this hero is. Okay, thank you very much, Kristen. So we also had lots of great people writing from 6th grade, and we had some wonderful sharing in the assembly, but none of them wanted or were available to share this evening. So we're going to jump to 7th grade, and 7th grade used a form called Pantoum, where each line in the poem gets used twice, and there's a very particular kind of a pattern of repetition where lines come back. They used it in a flexible way, so not the whole line, but just some words or an idea from the line when it came back into the poem, they reused and adapted to make the poem move forward. So our first reader from 7th grade sharing a Pantoum with you is Quinn Williams. Quinn, would you like to read, please?
Okay, so my poem's called Artist Block, but before I start, I do mention a book series / television show that often inspires me in my art. And I wonder if people can guess what it is by one of the verses in it. So like I said before, this poem's called Artist Block. A simple tune without a melody, emotions tainted with color, taunted by the barren page, as if a world has been cut by a freshly sharpened knife. My metallic mind spills onto the page, glistening each time the light hits. Those emotions tainted with color burst into more than just emotions. Limitless expressions spread like spilt milk. The metallic stones melted into a difficult mess to clean up without the right mindset. I stop. Those once limitless expressions become dead pans. The metallic liquid hardens without further touch. I stop. I surf the world inside my walls for more fuel. After days of aimless wandering, the nomad I once was pulls from a puddle. Metallic thoughts seep through my fingertips once again, changing the puddle from water to gooey mysteries. The world cut by the cold knife reopened. Those days of aimless wandering finally revealed the world I had been looking for. The once simple tune has turned into a finished drawing.
Fantastic, Quinn. Thank you so much. There's so many amazing phrases in there. The chat went wild as people were typing those in. Emotions tainted with color, and I particularly liked the page that's being taunted. I get that often when I sit down to write. Although my favorite might be gooey mysteries. I think that's cool. So I'm afraid I did not guess the inspiration that you mentioned. Do you want to say what it is?
So it was based off of the book series by Philip Pullman, His Dark Materials, specifically The Subtle Knife.
Yes, great series of books, those. Yeah, very good. Thank you very much, Quinn. And following on from Quinn, we have Ian Weir. Ian, would you like to unmute?
Hello, I'm sick, so sorry if my voice is not so spectacular. And my poem's a little short, and it's about music. So music comes in many shapes, shapes of a never-ending story. A story comes in many forms, a story that has no terms. Music is an infinite void. It could be full of emotion or lost in an ocean. It is pleasing, it flows off the page of mind. It is truly never ceasing.
Thank you, Ian. That was a real roller coaster. You went through it nicely. Thank you. And let me see, where does that leave us? I think that means that we are all through with our student readers. There were a few more booked in, but they're not here. I think Alice and Porter are not here. Speak up now if you are here, Alice or Porter. No, okay, right. Then let's move on then to some readings from the faculty. So our first faculty reader is Christopher Onken, who is the 7th grade English teacher and 8th grade history teacher. And he was one of the wonderful team supporting my efforts. And he is going to share a poem with us now. Go ahead, Chris.
Okay, this is Barefoot in the Garden. Barefoot in the garden, morning sun at my back, admiring waving crooked emerald waves. Not neat. They meander across, shouting green to the brown beneath, leaping above their nest. Rising tide, emerging from womb of earth, shedding husks of seed, stepping from warm embrace. First stalk and leaf struggle to rise, shooting up behind my back. I watched pot needing privacy. Free from protecting hug, standing taller, weak, unforgiving world of humming insects know the good, squash the bad. Branch and flower fight the infiltrators, friend and foe, occupying armies. Feathered reinforcements arrive, descending all around. Genocide to the lotus eaters, death from my thumbs, branch by branch, once more into the breach. Dirt between toes turns to mud, sunburned streak of back and brow. Bugs and killing jar, not neat. They meander across sunburned face, glowing red, barefoot in the garden, squinting at the setting sun.
Thank you, Chris. That was the one you started this morning, I believe.
Yeah, that's from first period this morning.
Yeah, and that was also unfinished at the end of the first period. Well done. Give you some extra credit. Okay, and our next reader is Sarah Anderson. Sarah teaches 8th and 9th grade English, and she's going to have her first book of poems published in the summer. It's a collection called We Hold On to What We Can. It's coming out in June, published by Loom Press, and she'll be having a book launch on her property at which is the Word Barn in Exeter, New Hampshire. And the Word Barn, if you don't know it, is a fantastic venue for music and poetry, and well worth a visit. Well, a visit soon, I hope. A virtual visit or a visit in the garden. Details are on the website, www.thewordbarn.com. And she'll be giving some other readings around the Northeast as well, possibly in the back of a pickup truck, as we discussed yesterday. Okay, Sarah, over to you.
Thank you. My poem is called A Field in the West of Ireland at Dusk. For Ariana. I picture you in 10 years in Ireland as I was at 20. Like mine, your voice may get caught in the marbles, spaces you have yet to discover, an electric fence turned on. I was not in the half-stunning accidental photograph you found and asked me about, not in the bedroom alone, watching shadows cross my body, not who anyone thought I was. 2 barred rock hens and a rooster vied for attention on our farm this morning. They had mine, field and fence, a blur of lines until we are made of force, the 4th stone away from you in the stream. The 4th of July, your sparkler set your hair on fire, the 4th word you ever spoke. If someone looks at you a certain way, it is useless to pretend, but you must. You absolutely must. Take anything from the night, daughter. Make it yours. This is it. Be mindful of the daffodils. We are not going to be here again. Recall my cheekbone, my lips pursed in the fading day, how your hair and my hair and the forest become one. Right now, I am still a face wanting to be known. I have so much to tell you while they call, looking back at me from the island shore.
Thank you very much, Sarah. And I presume that's going to be in your book? Yes. Great. We'll look forward to that. I think I might be right in saying that we've now, well, you please do keep typing things into the chat, but I think we've reached a cutoff time for our crowdsourced poets, because we need to leave them alone with some words at a point where the words don't come in so they can finish off their poems. But you're welcome to keep typing things in the chat just to show your appreciation. And our third and final reader from, third and final reader from faculty is Jen Bryan Onken, who teaches upper school English at Berwick, and she has been published in many places. Her poems have appeared recently on Maine Public Radio, The Night, Heron Banks, and Love's Executive Order. She won the Maine Poetry Society's 2019 prize for previously unpublished poets. Her micro chapbook, That First Toss, was a finalist for the 2019 Washburn Prize at Harbour Review, and her chapbook, Medea at the Laundromat, was a finalist for the Levis Prize at Warren Wilson College this spring. And Jen recently completed her MFA from Warren Wilson's Programme for Writers, and I know Jen well from doing workshopping with her over several years here in South Berwick. She's a fantastic person and poet. And Jen, over to you.
Thanks, Brian. I'm going to show a picture if that's okay. Because I don't know if people recently knew that in the Suez Canal, a giant tanker was stuck. This is an ancient waterway, and the way that it was freed was with a really big full moon and a really high tide, which I found kind of amazing. So as Brian was saying, I think craft takes a lot of practice. And one of the things I've been doing is writing a poem a month for the last 4 months and submitting it with a small group of other writers. And that's exhausting and work. And this was one of the poems that I wrote just a couple of weeks ago when I was working on that project. Okay, and it's called The Full Moon Races to Free the Ever Given. The Ever Given is the name of the ship that was stuck there. Wedged like a mint in the oiled airway of the world, the Ever Given waits for the full moon to lift its water. I've slid into the couch like a lost lozenge. Can't look forward or back, just awkwardly angled, thinking about the great books in the Library of Alexandria that burned, ones I'll never write. I've got nothing on the forces of nature. When gravity calls, I'm sleeping, or more or less feel jammed. Egyptians cut the isthmus deeper into the desert by hand, farmers filling and emptying a million sand baskets. Then came the steam shovels, dredgers, and a Red Sea filled in deep enough for ships. I lived once at the lip of a crater that swallowed a whole temple's roof. No gates or guards, just a parking lot's great asphalt hole and its decayed white molar, garbage, and loose papers.
Wonderful. Thank you very much, Jen. It's great to see topical poetry responding to the news. You might get yourself on CNN, who knows? And I'd just like to say, I don't think a poem a month is enough. I think you need to be doing a poem a week, or at least, or a poem a day, who knows?
No, I said a poem a day, a poem a day, a poem a day for 4 months.
Okay, I'm sorry, I heard poem a month.
Sorry.
Right. Okay, poem a day for 4 months. That is a real achievement. Very impressed. Okay. So we just have a couple more before we hear the crowdsourced poems from our pairs. Evangeline Williams has a second that she'd like to read, and then we'll be hearing from Mary Anchor. So Evangeline, would you like to have another go?
Yes, please. So my next poem, which is my last, is called White-Winged Dove. White-winged dove, wing flicker, sharp blue bill, white-tipped, slender throat. Hoo-hoo through dense thickets, swooping, spinning over dry land, cream puff eggs, berry pink talons, loose twig nest, low bush dweller, cactus fruits, scrumptious lurkers, feast of seeds. White winged dove, graceful. White whisper, peace bringer by Evangeline Williams. Facts taken from the Audubon Society Field Guide to North American Birds.
Wonderful. Thank you very much, Evangeline. Lovely, precise description there. You're going to be a real asset to the middle school poetry program when it's your turn. And Mary Anchor, the person without whom none of this would have happened. We'd love to hear a poem from you.
Thank you, Brian. I loved all those kids. I miss the kids. I really want to come back and teach. I just didn't realize it. My heart is just so full of an admiration for all the bravery and the courage and the creativity of the students that read tonight. And so thank you all for that. And my former students and some of my former colleagues know that I often change my mind at the last minute. So I was going to read a poem called Kensuke that I illustrated and sent with a watercolor, but I've changed my mind and I'm going to read a shorter one instead. It's more about craft. And this one is called Our Axis is an Invisible Line, and it's for William, my 3-year-old grandson. When asked, what does spring mean? And needing to translate it for a 3-year-old, metaphor and science each took their place. It's when the sun kisses our side of the world. Thank you, everyone.
Thank you, Mary. That was lovely. Okay, so I reckon we're now at the big moment where our pairs of students working on crowdsourced poems, I hope, are ready to share their work with us. So I'm going to bow ahead, assuming that that's the case, and I'd like to invite Noah Castles and Emma Rich to share their crowdsourced poem with us first, please.
Flowers blooming in the mud, holding each other up. With a sudden feeling of confidence, 5 petals tied together, with a wildness in itself, loving wild weather. Because they could change anything, I believe in them.
I'm taunted by the lavender, here then gone. Sharp and smooth, loud and soft, emotion tainted by color, far, far away.
The unforgiving world of yesterday, what did I expect? Husks of seed leaping above their nest. I am happy.
My lips pursed in the fading day, admiring the sun.
They are silent, then a whoosh, my mind filling up. It was a train.
Amazing. Can't believe you guys did that in such short order. Fantastic. It's also kind of like an action replay of the evening. Okay, and using the same words, but no doubt coming up with something very different, we have Aisha and Emma Marie. Are you feel ready? Go for it.
Okay. Flowers blooming in the mud, 5 petals tied together, far, far away. In the lavender a blur, like fish swimming in the water. Pretty, but still like pure white marble. Beside the peachy castle they rest.
From it, sharp and loud and soft. Sharp and loud and soft. I know there's louder in my heart. Okay. My heart thumps my bell.
A gray car in the sunshine, here then gone. My mind is filling up with the dulcet sound of every good thought.
Holding each other up. Yelling to your teammates, telling them you're there. They are silent because they could change anything. I believe in them. And they all wear different shoes. I believe in them. They could change anything. I see lights coming on.
What did I expect? A minstrelling maiden. I believe in them. Hubcap on an igloo. Gadabout. But the river comes back to you.
And which is a train. I love wild weather, wildness in myself. I am happy. A nest to curl up in. How new is this New England weather? A size too large? I suddenly feel a confidence when the leaves fallen were so crisp.
Bop. A dervish lack of luster. A bear being chased by a train. Pop. A vulture. Yesterday can stay a light in me. I feel like air. What it's like to immigrate. A swirl that could be anything.
Holding a baby in a basket. Beating hard against your feet. That's it.
Okay, thank you. Sorry, I couldn't quite realize you finished. Yeah, that was lovely. Really amazing work from both pairs there. I've done those crowdsourced poems myself where you have to put something together in short order, but I have never given it to students to do, and I've been amazingly impressed by how, as lots of people have said, how sort of the risks and the willingness to just go for it that you showed, and indeed everybody showed in this whole residency. And so that concludes our program today. So, I'm not quite sure if I'm finishing or if Melissa is finishing, but I'm going to finish my part by saying it's been a wonderful week. I am, as I said, really delighted that I could do it, and that I had a chance to work with all of these students. And thank you all so much for coming to hear what we did.
Thank you, Brian. Do we have great students, or do we have great students? And teachers and great poets all. And wasn't Brian amazing as well? I mean, look what he made happen in 1 week. It's been so special. I know I'm going to take away joy with me this evening and gratitude. And I hope that you all will take that amount of joy away with you, and that you will go home and this spring you will read and write poetry. Thank you for joining us. Thank you all for being here and all that you've contributed. Have a wonderful evening.